guys, Music Lover 93 here.
And Michael DeSisto, Music Lover 93's boyfriend.
And this is Music Facts-O-Rama number 20, already into the 20 mark. In this episode, we're gonna do a November birthday. And here's an artist who turned 80 in that month. She's a folk singer and songwriter and a musician. This is about Joni Mitchell. So, this episode is of course longer because it's going to be a lot about her music life. I don't want to go to too much in the 2000s because we don't want to get this too long. So let's get on with the facts about her, shall we? Okay, fact number 1. Roberta Joan Anderson was born on November 7th, 1943 in Fort Macleod, Alberta. She's Canadian. Her mother, Myrtle, ancestors were Scottish and Irish, and her father, William Andrew Anderson, was from a Norwegian family that may had some Sami ancestry. Her mother was a teacher, while her father was a Royal Canadian Air Force flight lieutenant who instructed new pilots at RCAF station Fort Macleod. She later moved with her parents to various bases in Western Canada. After World War II ended, her father worked as a grocer and her family moved to Saskatchewan, living in Maidstone and North Battleford. She later sang about her small town upbringing in several of her songs, including Song for Sharon. This is pretty much what her early life is, so this is pretty much where, soon this is where her music interest is going to be when we get to the next fact. So let's get to that.
Here's number 2. She moved with her family to Saskatoon, which she considers her hometown, at age 11. Mitchell struggled at school. Her main interest was painting. During this time, she briefly studied classical piano. She focused on her creative talent and considered a singing or dancing career for the first time. One unconventional teacher, Arthur Kratzman, made an impact on her, stimulating her to write poetry. Her first album includes a dedication to him. She dropped out of school in grade 12, resuming her studies later, and hung out downtown with a rowdy set until she decided that she was getting too close to the criminal world. Mitchell wanted to play the guitar, but as her mother associated the instrument with country music and disapproved of his hillbilly associations, she initially settled for the ukulele. Eventually, she's taught herself guitar from a Pete Seeger songbook. Polio had weakened her left hand, so she devised alternative tunings to compensate. She later used these tunings to create non-standard approaches to harmony and structure in her songwriting.
Yes, this is how her interest in music began like that, especially becoming as a musician. Yes, people from Canada, instead of calling this 12th grade like in the States, call it grade 12. Because I already know the idea, so it's totally fine because I do have Canadian friends. Anyway, yes, this is how she's studying classical piano and, this is where she started playing the piano, which this is where more of the stuff. Anyway, yes, she also wanted to play the guitar and that's where she wanted to begin, but her mother, I don't think it looked like she's not supportive enough to let her play it, but it's her choice to play the guitar. Alright, fact number 3. Mitchell started singing with her friends at bonfires around Waskesiu Lake. Not sure if I pronounced it correctly. Anyway, northwest of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. She widened her repertoire to include her favorite performers, such as Edith Piaf and Miles Davis. At age 18, her first paid performance was on October 30th, which is known as Halloween, 1962, at a Saskatoon club that featured folk and jazz performers. Although she never performed jazz herself, in those days. Mitchell and her friends sought out gigs by jazz musicians. Mitchell said, "My jazz background began with one of the early Lambert, Hendrix and Ross albums. That album, the hottest new group in jazz, was hard to find in Canada." She says, "So I saved up and bought it at a bootleg price. I considered that album to be my Beatles. I learned every song off of it. And I don't think there is another album anywhere, including my own, on which I know every note and word of every song." That's what she says in the quote. She continued to play gigs as a folk musician on weekends at her college and at a local hotel. Around this time, she took a $15 a week job in Calgary coffee house called the Depression Coffee House, singing long tragic songs in a minor key. She sang at hootenannies and made appearances on local TV and radio shows in Calgary. In 1964, at the age of 20, she told her mother that she was intended to be a folk singer in Toronto. She left Western Canada for the first time in her life, heading east for Ontario. So she moved to the east part of Canada, going to Ontario. The fact that she's saying that she considered album to be my Beatles, something tells me that the Beatles must have inspired her to be, when it comes to this kind of music like this. That is interesting. Now the next one should be more about her in the 60s.
All right, here's fact number 4. Mitchell wrote her first song Day After Day on the 3-day train ride. She stopped at the Mariposa Folk Festival to see Buffy Santa Marie, an American folk singer who had inspired her. A year later, Mitchell played Mariposa, her first gig for a major audience, and years later, Saint Marie herself covered Mitchell's work. Mitchell discovered that she was pregnant by her Calgary ex-boyfriend Brad McMath in late 1964. She gave birth to a baby girl in February 1965. Unable to provide for her daughter, Kelly Dale Anderson, she placed her for adoption. The experience remained private for most of Mitchell's career, although she alluded to it in several songs, such as Little Green, which she performed in the 1960s and recorded eventually for the 1971 album Blue. The existence of Mitchell's daughter was not publicly known until 1993, when a roommate from Mitchell's art school days in the 1960s sold the story of the adoption to a tabloid magazine. By that time, Mitchell's daughter, renamed Lauren Gibb, had already begun a search for her biological parents. Mitchell and her daughter met in 1997. After the reunion, Mitchell said that she lost interest in songwriting, and she later identified her daughter's birth and her inability to take care of her as the moment when her songwriting inspiration had really begun. A few weeks after the birth of her daughter in February 1965, Mitchell was playing gigs again around Yorkville, often with a friend, Vicki Taylor, and was beginning to sing original material for the first time, written with her unique opening tunings.
Really? This is what's pretty much what happened with her new daughter before this happened years later, because it's gonna be put into adoption or something like that. But yeah, so it's mentioned that she was lost in songwriting. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that she's a good songwriter, which that part we'll definitely see it there as her life changed when we get to fact number 5. Mitchell left Canada for the first time in late April 1965. She traveled with Chuck Mitchell to the US, where they began playing music together. Yeah, this is where this thing's changed for life. Joni, 21 years old, married Chuck in an official ceremony in his hometown in June 1965 and took his surname. She said, "I made my dress and bridesmaid's dress. We had no money. I walked down the aisle, brandishing my daisies. Mitchell is both a Canadian and a U.S. citizen, while living in a Verona apartment in Detroit, Cass Corridor. The couple regularly performed at area coffee houses, including the Chessmate on Livernois, near 6 Mile Road, at Alcove Bar, near Wayne State University, the Rathskeller, a restaurant on the campus of the University of Detroit, and the Raven Gallery in Southfield. She began playing and composing songs in an alternative guitar tunings taught her by a fellow musician, Eric Anderson, in Detroit. Oscar Brand featured her several times on his CBC television program Let's Sing Out in 1965 and 1966. The marriage and partnership of Joni and Mitchell ended with their divorce in early 1967, and she moved to New York City to follow her music path as a solo artist. Folk singer Tom Rush had met Mitchell in Toronto and was impressed with her songwriting ability. He took urge for going to the popular artist Judy Collins, but she was not interested in the song at the time, so Rush recorded it himself. Other artists who recorded Mitchell's songs in the early years were Buffy Sainte-Marie, The Circle Game, Dave Van Ronk, Both Sides Now, and eventually Judy Collins' Both Sides Now, a top 10 hit for her and Mitchell from the Mountains, both included on her 1967 album Wildflowers. Collins also covered Chelsea Morning, another recording that eclipsed Mitchell's her own commercial success early on. Both Sides Now, it is actually is my all-time favorite song from her. And yes, I know for a fact that Judy Collins also did a cover of that one. So I do realize that Joni Mitchell actually wrote that song before, and just right before it was recorded, and it also including Judy Collins. Yeah, that was a really great song, and that is something I would definitely learn to play on an acoustic guitar because it's definitely a folk song. The next fact, this should show you something that knowing what her popular songs are. So
here we go.
Let's hear it.
Yep, looks like it. Here we go. Fact number 6. Mitchell toured steadily to promote the LP. The tour helped create eager anticipation for Mitchell's second LP, Clouds, which was released in April 1969. This album contained Mitchell's own versions of some of her songs already recorded and performed by other artists, Chelsea Morning, Both Sides Now, and Tin Angel. The covers of both LPs, including a self-portrait on Clouds, were designed and painted by Mitchell, a blending of her painting and music that she continued throughout her career. In March 1970, Clouds produced her first Grammy Award for Best Folk Performance. The following month, Reprise released her third album, Ladies of the Canyon. Mitchell's sound was already beginning to expand beyond the confines of acoustic folk music and toward pop and rock, with more overdubs, percussion, and backing vocals. And for the first time, many songs composed on piano, which became a hallmark of Mitchell's style in her most popular era. Her own version of Woodstock, slower than the cover by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, was performed solo on a Wurlitzer electric piano. The album also included the already familiar song The Circle Game and the environmental anthem Big Yellow Taxi. With its famous line, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. That is a good song.
This is what I was telling you about, everybody. Big Yellow Taxi, Joni Mitchell actually wrote that. And this is a fact for that. Counting Crows did a cover of that, and in my opinion, best version of that. I mean, I do like the original one that Joni Mitchell did. However, I still think the Counting Crows version is the best. So that is something that Michael is going to sing it when we're done reading those facts.
Oh yeah.
And that song Woodstock, I've heard this song before, but yes, there's more than one cover for that. That Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. I know who they are, but I just don't know a lot of their songs.
Either.
Okay, close to being finished there, and I'm trying to pronounce most of the stuff right as best I can and try to finish it as I can. So here's fact number 7. Ladies of the Canyon was an instant smash on FM radio and sold briskly, eventually becoming Mitchell's first gold album, selling over 500,000 copies. She made a decision to stop touring for a year and just write and paint. Yet she was still voted top female performer for 1970 by Melody Maker. On the April 1971 release of James Taylor's Mudslide Slim and the Blue Horizon album, Mitchell was credited with backup vocals on the track You've Got a Friend. Love this song.
Same here.
The songs she wrote during the months she took off for travel and life experience appeared on her next album, Blue, released in June 1971, comparing Joni Mitchell's talent to his own. David Crosby said, "By the time she did Blue, she was past me and rushing toward the horizon." Mitchell decided to return to the live stage after the great success of Blue, and she presented new songs on tour, which appeared on her next album, her 5th, For the Roses. The album was released in October 1972 and immediately zoomed up the charts. She followed with the single, You Turn Me On, I'm a Radio, which peaked at number 25 in the Billboard charts in February 1973. Court and Spark, released in January 1974, saw Mitchell begin the flirtation with jazz and jazz fusion that marked her experimental period ahead. Court and Spark went to number 1 on the Cashbox album charts. The LP made Mitchell a widely popular act for perhaps the only time in her career. On the strength of popular tracks such as The Rocker Raised on Robbery, which was released right before Christmas 1973, and Help Me, which was released in March of the following year, and became Mitchell's only top 10 single when it peaked at number 7 in the first week of June. Free Man in Paris was another hit single and staple in her catalog. Okay, so yes, since I mentioned that for James Taylor's Mudslide Slim and yes, Joni Mitchell was definitely credited for backup vocals and You've Got a Friend. I didn't even notice that she's part of it for this song. And I've heard this song like millions of times. Did you even know that?
No, I didn't realize it either at first, but it was definitely a great song, and you know, it's actually a really popular song too.
If we're gonna do facts about James Taylor, we'll definitely do it when when his birthday comes. Because I know you have more than one James Taylor song to sing. All right, let's get to the next one.
Number 8. Here we go. Mitchell went into the studio in early 1975 to record acoustic demos of some songs that she had written since the Court and Spark tour. A few months later, she recorded versions of the tunes with her band. Her musical interests were diverging from both the folk and the pop scene of the era toward less structured, more jazz-inspired pieces with a wider range of instruments. The new song cycle was released in November 1975 as The Hissing of Summer Lawns. On the Jungle line, she made an early effort at sampling a recording of African musicians, something that became more commonplace among Western rock acts in the 1980s. A few months after the release of Don Juan's Reckless Daughter, Mitchell was contacted by the esteemed jazz composer, bandleader, and bassist Charles Mingus, who had heard the orchestrated song Paprika Plans and wanted her to work with him. She began a collaboration with Mingus, who died before the project was completed in 1979. She finished the tracks, and the resulting album, Mingus, was released in June 1979, though it was poorly received in the press. Fans were confused over such a major change in Mitchell's overall sound, and though the album topped out at number 17 on the Billboard Albums chart, a higher placement than Don Juan's Reckless Daughter, Mingus, still fell short of gold status, making it her first album since the 1960s not to sell at least 500,000 copies. In early 1983, Mitchell began a world tour, visiting Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, the United Kingdom, Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, and Scandinavia, and then going back to the United States. A performance from the tour was videotaped and later released on home video, and later DVD, as Refuge of the Roads. As 1984 ended, Mitchell was writing new songs when she received a suggestion from Geffen that perhaps an outside producer with experience in the modern technical arenas that they wanted to explore might be a worthy addition. Dog Eat Dog, released in October 1985, was only a moderate seller, reaching number 63 on Billboard's top album chart, Mitchell's lowest chart position since her first album peaked at number 189 almost 18 years before. One of the songs on the album, Tax Free, created controversy by lambasting televangelists and what she saw as a drift to the religious right in American politics. "The churches came after me," she wrote. "They attacked me, though the Episcopalian Church, which I've seen described as the only church in America which actually uses its head, wrote me a letter of congratulation."
I don't really know much about her later stuff, especially in the 80s, so I've only noticed like a few of them in the 70s. That's how I knew about her, but yeah. So she just continuing with with touring, and she actually began doing it for like different countries, especially in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Ireland, any of these countries that she performed. We're almost done because we'll get to fact number 9, so we'll get ready for that. Mitchell continued experimenting with synthesizers, drum machines, and sequencers for the recordings of her next album, 1988's Chalk Mark in a Rainstorm. She also collaborated with artists including Willie Nelson, Billy Idol, Wendy and Lisa, Tom Petty, Don Henley, Peter Gabriel, and Benjamin Orr of the Cars. The album's first official single, My Secret Place, was in fact a duet with Gabriel, and just missed the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The song, Lakota, was one of the many songs on the album to take on larger political themes. In this case, the Wounded Knee incident, the deadly battle between Native American activists and the FBI on Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in the previous decade. Musically, several songs fit into the trend of world music popularized by Gabriel during the era. In 1990, Mitchell, who by then rarely performed live, participated in Roger Waters' The Wall concert in Berlin. She performed the song Goodbye Blue Sky and was also one of the performers on the concert's final song, The Tide is Turning, along with Waters, Cyndi Lauper, Bryan Adams, Van Morrison, and Paul Carrack to wider audiences. The real return to form for Mitchell came with 1994's Grammy-winning Turbulent Indigo. The recording of the album coincided with the end of Mitchell's marriage to musician Larry Klein after 12 years. Klein was also co-producer of the album. Indigo was seen as Mitchell's first accessible set of songs in years. Songs such as Sex Kills, Sunny Sunday, Borderline, and Magdalene and Laundries. Mixed social commentary and guitar-focused melodies for a startling comeback. The album won 2 Grammy Awards, including Best Pop Album, and coincided with much publicized resurgence in interest in Mitchell's work by a younger generation of singer-songwriters. When she performed with other artists that she collaborated with. Yes, I know a couple of Peter Gabriel songs, and one of them I know the best from him, and it's one of my favorites, Sledgehammer. Not sure if you heard of that song.
That sounds familiar.
He had really good songs, but of course, Billy Idol, Willie Nelson, and Tom Petty are popular artists too. We did Tom Petty a while ago. As for Willie Nelson, we didn't do facts about him because I don't know much about it at the time. Because his 90th birthday was last April.
Right.
And he's one of the last living country artists so far. Okay, not gonna be wasting time on talking because we're almost done.
All right, one more fact to go. Here's number 10. The singer's next 2 albums featured no new songs, and Mitchell has said were recorded to fulfill contractual obligations. But on both, she attempted to make use of her new vocal range in interpreting familiar material. Both Sides Now, 2000, was an album composed mostly of covers of jazz standards, performed with an orchestra, featuring orchestral arrangements by Vince Mendoza. The album also contained remakes of A Case of You and the title track Both Sides Now, 2 early hits transposed down to Mitchell's new dusky, soulful alto range. During the next few years, the only albums Mitchell released were compilations of her earlier work. In 2003, her Geffen recordings were collected in a remastered 4-disc box set. The complete Geffen recordings, including notes by Mitchell and 3 previously unreleased tracks. A series of themed compilations of songs from earlier albums were also released. The Beginning of Survival, 2004, Dreamland, also 2004, and Songs of a Prairie Girl, 2005. The last of which collected the threads of her Canadian upbringing, and which she released after accepting an invitation to the Saskatchewan Centennial Concert in Saskatoon. The concert, which featured a tribute to Mitchell, was also attended by Queen II. In an interview with the Ottawa Citizen in October 2006, Mitchell revealed that she was recording her first collection of new songs in nearly a decade, but gave few other details. In mid-2007, Mitchell's official fan-run site confirmed speculation that she had signed a 2-record deal with Starbucks' Here Music label. Shine was released by the label on September 25, 2007, debuting at number 14 on the Billboard 200 album chart, her highest chart position in the US since the release of Jira in 1976, over 30 years previously, and at number 36 on the United Kingdom album charts.
Well, this is pretty much what we're talking about her. I know she had something with, a lot of her much later life, but like I said, I don't want to make the video too long. But yeah, those are the facts about Joni Mitchell. She's 80 currently. And yes, I can mention about the Big Yellow Taxi, which is, I think, on fact number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is going to send the County Crows version of that one, and the ones who's featured is, as we know, is Vanessa Carlton. She's definitely known for her hit song 1,000 Miles. She did the backup vocals, which I definitely love her songs. So yeah, you're totally gonna nail this cover, babe, because I love it when you sing it.
Alright. Thank you, babe. And yes, I will be singing the Counting Crows version of Big Yellow Taxi. We hope you all enjoy this video.
Yes. Enjoy the karaoke, everybody.
They paved paradise and put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. They took all the trees and put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50 to see them. No, 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 don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pay paradise and put up a parking lot. Hey farmer, farmer, put away your DDT. I don't care about spots on my apples, leave me the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pay paradise and put up a parking lot. Hey now they pay paradise to put up a parking lot. Why not? Listen, late last night I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took my girl away. Now don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pay paradise and put up a parking lot. Hey now, now, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pay paradise and put up a parking lot. Why not they pay paradise and put up a parking lot? Hey, 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 pay paradise and put up a parking lot. I don't wanna give it, why you wanna give it, why you wanna give it all away. Hey, 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 now you wanna give it, I should wanna give it, cause you're giving it all away. Now, now, I don't wanna give it, why you wanna give it, why you wanna give it all away. Giving it all away. Hey, yeah. Cause you're giving it all away. Hey, hey, hey. They paid paradise to put up a parking lot.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of Music Facts-O-Rama that's about Joni Mitchell. She's already 80 years old. This past November. Next episode of Music Facts-O-Rama will do the December birthdays. And another one will be another December birthday, so there's two of them. We're really looking forward to do the next one.
Oh yeah.
This is Music Lover 93 signing out.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.